Okay, so I'm recording this at 3 a.m. in the morning, Tuesday, July 27th. It will be uploaded in about 7 hours from now, meaning that if there is a trade made before this video is published, then forgive me. That's been a terrible stream of luck that we have had on this YouTube channel the past few weeks. First with the Duncan Keith trade, talking about how the Chicago Blackhawks' initial ask from the Oilers was rejected. Lo and behold, the trade gets published and fully made before that rejected video goes up. Then we have the Louis Eriksson thing. We make a video talking about how Eriksson, apparently Jim Benning was trying to trade him away for nothing. Then a few hours later, hey, he actually gets traded for OEL. I don't want that same thing to happen again this time, but if it does, because we've been making very unlucky decisions the past few days with videos, then I apologize. But today we're circling back to the Vancouver Canucks. By the way, that's why I'm uploading this as the first video of the day too, because just in case it does happen anytime after this video is published, then at least there is some form of the benefit of a doubt there. But today we're talking about Vancouver Canucks goaltender Braden Holtby, and we're going over some of the teams that were rumored towards being in, some teams that are apparently now out of the Holtby sweepstakes. It comes to us in the form of Rick Dhaliwal first and foremost, as on Dolly and Dolly on Czech TV, they had Elliot Friedman on as a guest. This is what he said yesterday at 11 a.m. in the morning. They are having a tough time moving Braden Holtby because they will not give something up. However, there is interest in Holtby from Colorado, Toronto, Philadelphia, and Buffalo. Man, oh man, those are 4 big-name teams right there, and Braden Holtby getting traded to any one of these teams would help the Vancouver Canucks quite a bit in terms of freeing up money on their cap roll for this season. Now, we know Braden Holtby was brought in on a 2-year contract, and he only has 1 year left, but you take a look at what exactly is going on with this guy. Hey, he's making $4 million. He's going out here as probably going to be a very expensive backup goaltender behind Thatcher Demko. And when you take a look at where the Vancouver Canucks are cap management-wise, hey, Connor Garland, Jason Dickinson, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson. They have a whole bunch of stuff going on here with these guys. And Braden Holtby, despite the fact that he is a player that the Vancouver Canucks are trying to trade, as noted by Rick Dhaliwal yesterday as well, they still have not made a decision as to what's going to happen and whether or not a buyout would even be considered. If there is a buyout, by the way, after this video is published or before or whatever, then I apologize again. Please don't crucify me in the comment section. But Colorado, Toronto, Philadelphia, Buffalo, 4 teams out there. Colorado, I mean, they've got themselves some good goaltending in Philip Grubauer, but is he going to come back? For Toronto, hey, you know that Jack Campbell is the guy, but Freddie Anderson, is he on his way out? Who really knows? It's most likely that he's going to be on his way out. For Philadelphia, we all know that Carter Hart is going to be their guy. There's no avoiding that sentiment right there. But if Braden Holtby comes out here as a backup to help suit up and potentially manage a little bit of the load, then maybe you go out there and you avoid the Carter Hart disaster season like he had in 2020-2021. It's just a stability kind of thing. Obviously, you know, he wouldn't go over there and take over Carter Hart's job. It's just a hypothetical. You also have the Buffalo Sabres, and I mean, what else is there to say about the Buffalo Sabres? They can use some, at the very least, manageable players, I guess. Either way, though, when it comes to these 4 teams, it's interesting to have conversations about any of them. But for one team in particular, Toronto, we actually had another update later in the day from David Pagnotta of the 4th period. This was in the afternoon. Bearing a pretty significant turn of events, I'm now told the Maple Leafs are not in on goaltender Braden Holtby, whom the Canucks continue to have trade talks about with other teams. Speaking about David Pagnotta, hey, he published this article on his website the other day as well. There's a little part I wanted to read to you about the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have been active in the NHL looking for a veteran goaltender to add to their roster to push or split the duties with Mackenzie Blackwood. There have been some rumblings the Devils spoke with the Vegas Golden Knights about Marc-Andre Fleury and Lehner, and the Vancouver Canucks about Braden Holtby. Could we trade Holtby for Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes? Okay, no, we're not going to do that. So, Braden Holtby to New Jersey is also an interesting idea to talk about here, too, because the Devils, a young team, they're trying to claw their way back in. I think they're going to be so good sometime down the line. It's just you have to wait a little bit more for a lot of these guys in your system to develop and really marinate in the NHL. Jack Hughes, in my opinion, has not had his breakout party yet. He is due for a fantastic season in the next few years. Who knows if it's going to be next year when Braden Holtby is on his contract or not. Either way, though, the biggest problem with a Braden Holtby trade was indeed highlighted by Friedman in the first tweet we read. The Canucks are having a hard time trading Holtby because they don't want to give anything up. We noted this earlier, but hey, Braden Holtby's a guy going out there making $4.3 million on his one-year contract remaining. Why did the Canucks even go out there and sign Braden Holtby to this money if they're just going to go out there and move him a year later? Well, firstly, he sucked this year. Or last year. Yeah, it's last year, right? He wasn't good, and I'm not going to go out there and pretend that he has zero potential at ever becoming good ever again. He was bad last year, we'll just leave it at that. Secondly, pretty much the only reason the Canucks signed Braden Holtby was because of the Seattle expansion draft, and if it weren't for the Seattle expansion draft, we most likely would not have seen Holtby even be taken in a Vancouver Canucks sweater. Who knows what would have happened with Jacob Markstrom? I'm not going to go out there and say that, oh, they would have signed Markstrom to a 6x6 whatever contract like the Flames ended up doing. I'm not going to say that right here, but things would have been a lot different had it not been for the existence of the Seattle Kraken expansion. And now that that's done, now that Braden Holtby has somewhat fulfilled the main purpose that he was acquired onto this team to fulfill, go out there, trade him away, use the cap savings, and use that money on a PD or a Hughes or whatever. Benning wasn't lying when he said he wants to go out there and free up some money. Sure, Beagle, Roussel, and Eriksson all expire next season, but this is still the summer where you need to re-sign PD, Hughes, Garland, and Dickinson. It's why the conversation gets a little bit more muddy when you say, okay, why don't the Vancouver Canucks just retain salary on Braden Holtby? They trade him away to another team. Boom, everybody's happy. The Canucks get rid of Holtby. The other team in the NHL gets him at a discounted price. What's the problem there? Well, you're still going to need a backup. That's the problem. I don't know if Michael DiPietro is in a position where he can legitimately be an NHL backup yet. I would still like him to get a few more just brief stints before really taking over and playing, like 25 to 30 games in an NHL season. We saw how long Thatcher Demko took to marinate. Now he is a full-time guy. It took him 5-6 years. So if the Vancouver Canucks get rid of Braden Holtby, they're gonna need to get a goaltender in return. Whether or not they buy him out or they trade him away, there's gotta be a goaltender coming in. And it's not gonna be, some top-of-the-line former starter who's going out there demanding $4 million. It's gonna be somebody cheaper. But the thing is, if you retain salary on Holtby and you get another guy coming in to replace Holtby, let's say 2.5, 2.6, or $3 million on a contract, then the ultimate endpoint is you're saving very little on the cap. You might even be spending a little bit more. Because let's be real, teams are not going to like Braden Holtby and his $4.3 million a season. They're going to ask, okay, can we get 40%, 30% salary retained over here? If the Vancouver Canucks hold on to $1.5 million of Holtby's salary and they get another $3 million goaltender, then what? You save $300,000 for this year? That's not going to help you out when you're re-signing PD, Hughes, Garland, and Dickinson. It's why the Vancouver Canucks want to go out there and get rid of Holtby, at the very least at a buyout price. If not a buyout price, trade him away in its entirety without any salary retained, which is why these contract trade talks have been so difficult, because no team wants to go out there and say, okay, Jim, we'll take Braden Holtby at full salary because, it's only 1 year. We could say the same thing about Beagle, Roussel, and Eriksson, but there was a big behemoth of a contract in OEL coming back the other way, which made that trade a lot more plausible to do. So for the Colorado Avalanche, the Toronto Maple Leafs, okay, not Toronto anymore, the Flyers, the New Jersey Devils, and the Sabres, it's going to be tough for them to justify a Braden Holtby trade where they acquire this guy at full value, because ultimately a trade like that helps the Vancouver Canucks out. And other NHL GMs, other teams, they don't have any rights. They don't have any obligations to go out there and say, okay, we're going to help you out, Jim Benning. We're going to do you a solid right here, and we're going to give you draft picks and whatnot as well in exchange. We're going to do that because we're just good guys. No one's going to do that. You need to go out there, play your cards, and make things appear to actually be helping out the other team. So that's going to be difficult to do, but I mean, we'll see if Jimbo is able to do anything either today or tomorrow or whatever. If it doesn't happen, then maybe there's a Holtby buyout, who knows. We had a whole bunch of NHL insiders also talking about that as a possibility as well. But talk to me in the comments either way what you think about Braden Holtby and the potential of a trade with any of these teams and how the sweepstakes are heating up. But the Vancouver Canucks' lack of willingness to retain salary is apparently holding them back too. I hope you enjoyed this Vrtage Rolls 99, and bye.